am cosplaying Pala or Paula, I don't know how it's pronounced, from Fire Emblem Echoes. It's a Game Boy DS game, it's a JRPG, and it's just a lot of fun.
I'm Paige from Voltron, but as a witch.
And then we are all siblings that started cosplaying a couple years ago.
Alora, and Paige from Voltron.
I'm Keith from Voltron, but zombie.
And I'm Yona from Yona of the Dawn, her fire dancer version.
I'm cosplaying Taco from The Adventure Zone. It is a D&D podcast.
I'm cosplaying Taco from The Adventure Zone. It's a D&D podcast.
Also cosplaying Taco from The Adventure Zone.
We're all taco. It's taco time.
We're actually cosplaying a game called Mystic Messenger. I am Zen and this is 707, but we have done the Halloween costumes for them.
I'm Lily from Yona of the Dawn manga.
Alright, so I'm cosplaying Shiro from Voltron, but a monster demon AU.
I'm Hawk from Yona of the Dawn, also the manga. I'm the armored version.
I'm Lance from Voltron, but as a werewolf.
I am a female version of Kirishima on Halloween. Little Red Riot Hood. That's what I keep calling it.
I'm cosplaying Waluigi. It's freaking my favorite. Waluigi deserves so much more than he does. I love him.
My name is Kaylee Black. I have been cosplaying for many years now, and it's just a hobby that I really enjoy. My first experience with cosplay might have been Halloween, because I always really liked dressing up for Halloween, and I wish I could have done it more than once a year. But how I got into cosplay itself is me and some friends, we kind of got into it together. We just wanted to try it out and see how it would be, and it turned out being really fun, and it's escalated a lot since then.
I'm Jessica, and my cosplay name is Jessicara. I love cosplay.
My name is Jessica Diddy, and I am a cosplayer, loud and proud. Specifically, I work in armor, so I love creating suits of armor. I work mostly with EVA foam, so it's foam that you would see kind of at a gym, giant blocks of foam. And my specialty is to work with that and make suits of armor, and I love it so much.
Honestly, it gives me a bit of hope, because I can get away from being who I normally am. I can do something different. It gives me the chance to be with friends. It's just a lot of things that I like, and I really look forward to it.
I got into cosplay about 2014. It was around the time when Salt Lake had its first Fan X, and my friends were like, hey, you should come to this cool convention. And I was like, what's a convention? What's cosplay? Wait, people do this it's not Halloween, you can do this all the time. And I just my mind was blown.
How I started cosplaying, that's an interesting kind of story. The kind of culture I kind of grew up in, my family was dressing up was really at most okay at Halloween. Otherwise, it was not something you really did. And I kind of had that mentality as I went through my life. Ever since I was super little, I loved the idea of knights in shining armor, and I loved the idea of being big and protecting and courageous and awesome and awe-inspiring, that I wanted to be one of those people too. And that's really where my love of armor came from. And that's why I made my first suit of armor. It was big, it was blue, and it was from Halo Reach.
Some of the first characters I cosplayed were from the anime Naruto. I cosplayed Itachi and Tamari. It wasn't very pretty, but not with Itachi.
Typically, when I get into cosplay, it just depends on the day. It kind of depends on what I'm doing. And if I'm just doing a photo shoot, still trying to make sure I look pretty decent and, it'll just be taking photos. Otherwise, it'll just be for fun.
Conventions are also really fun events to go to in cosplay, because everyone else is in cosplay and you get to interact with each other.
I go out to have fun, right? Generally, I go with my friends, because in my opinion, that's the only way to cosplay, is get yourself a group, you go out and you go act like total weirdos, and it's totally fine, because everyone's doing it.
I think what makes me unique as a cosplayer, normally when I'm making cosplay, I try to use everything I can that's already in the house.
Two things stick out to me that make me different than other cosplayers would be that I am an actor in real life. And then the other thing is I have this weird knack for just being able to create something from pretty much nothing. It's basically made from garbage, which is honestly the fun part about this. Like, recycling, it's good for the planet.
The personal touches I put in my own cosplay, the things that matter to me most. When I'm making props and whatnot, I always try to put a little bit of my own personal flair on props. So yes, I do try to make them as accurate as I can, but I also try to make them personal to me. For example, on my sword I'm making for Lord Elrond's, I'm not actually doing the exact Elven transcript for the actual sword. What I'm doing is I'm kind of modifying a little bit and went to, translated my own words into Elvish, and I'm going to be putting that on it. It's just going to be a little ode to thank my friends and something about myself.
I started cosplay when I was a teenager, and I think back then it definitely gave me a confidence boost and kind of helped me learn how to go out in public looking kind of weird. People always look at you weird when you're in cosplay in public, but kind of teaches you to not care as much.
I think cosplay pulled me out, especially of a darker place for me when I was in between not really knowing what I was doing in school. And having cosplay there was just like an anchor, which was really lovely.
I kind of learned how to go after a passion that not many other people understand or really like sometimes. And it gave me the confidence to actually pursue something on my own.
High school, I was really shy. I didn't really want to talk to too many people. And so it was a way to just be able to break out of my shell and just get to not be me for a little bit. And it was so much fun. And honestly, that's probably why I still do it.
It's kind of a little hard to share, but I've had a lot of self-confidence issues. Back when I was in high school, for the first 2 years, I didn't talk to anyone really. I was kind of by myself a lot, and I didn't really branch out because I was afraid to. I was afraid to put myself out there. And when you have a cosplay on, when you have those kind of qualities that you're strong and you're out there and super outgoing, that's not who I am. But through cosplay, I've been able to kind of branch out a little bit more. I'm a little more open to talking to people that I have never met before and never seen before in my life. And now as a person, I think that I'm a lot easier to talk to than before I started cosplaying. And so that's what really cosplay does for me, is that it helps me kind of not necessarily just act out the qualities that I want to have, but help me start developing them in myself. And that's what cosplay really means to me, is that it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun to go out with my friends, but for me, it also helps me become the person that I want to be as well.
I have cosplayed a K-pop singer named Jimin from the band BTS. I've also cosplayed some Marvel characters, Captain America and Black Panther. I've done Sam Winchester from Supernatural. I've also cosplayed Sherlock from the BBC series Sherlock. I am currently working on a Smaug cosplay from The Hobbit, and I'm really excited for that. I've cosplayed an elf from the Lord of the Rings universe.
So right now I do definitely a lot of cartoon characters for cosplay. I choose definitely based off of characters that I like relate to more or less, or ones that I just think would be really entertaining to embody. I mean, there definitely has to be like some sort of like connection in order to make me like put in all these hours and make this. Otherwise, I'm like, what am I doing this for?
All right, so in terms of cosplaying and different outfits and whatnot, in the past what I've done is I've kind of stuck to video games traditionally. So obviously I'm a big fan of Zelda. So my first cosplay, which is what I'm wearing, is The Legend of Zelda. Next I made a cosplay from Halo Reach. It was my custom Noble 6 armor. So it was blue and it was just my Spartan armor from the game. And then my next armor after that, I made a Halo ODST armor. A little bit of a variation in the color. I chose green instead of more darker colors you generally see in the game. And then what I'm currently kind of working on and finishing up right now is something from The Hobbit. I'm working on Lord Elrond's hunting armor, the red one that you first see Lord Elrond in the first Hobbit when they go to Rivendell. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. In terms of future projects, when I finish up, I might be going back to Ruby. Which is a anime TV series, so RWBY Ruby. Eventually, my ultimate goal would be to go and cosplay Samus from Metroid. I've always looked up and always been super inspired by the armor design, and so eventually I want to work with a little bit of LEDs and I want to get that one out too.
Well, currently I have planned, I'm doing Carmen Sandiego from Carmen Sandiego, and she's super cool and has a big red trench coat, and that's going to be horrible to build. And a huge red fedora, so that is also going to be terrible. But I have tons of red fabric and I'm like ready to go and mess up a lot.
Not actually sure what I'll do in the future, but I have some ideas for like what types of cosplays I want to do. Like I want to experiment more with armor, I think, and just different things I haven't quite developed yet. One really funny experience that occurred that I always remember. One time I was in a group of Naruto cosplayers and we were going to eat Panda Express because that is our favorite food. And someone across the street in, I think in Einstein Bagels drive-through window, like they yelled out "Faith in Humanity Restored." And it was just hilarious. We couldn't stop laughing for a while. But
one of the funniest moments while in cosplay was definitely when I was Cusco, and there was this person I've never met before, and he came up to me and he was just like, "Oh, here, I got you." And I was like, what are you gonna do? And he's like, "Make way for the Emperor, make way." And through a crowded hallway, just sassing everybody out and just pretending I was an emperor for a bit, which was really entertaining, but also so funny. Like everybody there was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Cusco." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And like, it's just so much fun.
Generally, I find it hilarious especially with my first 2 suits of armor I made. My first one especially, my blue one, I did not think through when I was making my templates how I would move in that suit of armor. So the first time I put it on, everything was painted, it was finished, it was done. Each piece individually I was pretty happy about. And I was so happy. Until I started walking around and then I was like, wait a second, this isn't working out well for me. I tried to go up a pair of stairs and it's like, this was well thought out indeed. Sarcasm.
one time quite recently when I was about to snap from just making my Smaug cosplay, I was trying to figure out the hands with the claws, and I was possibly gonna have other pieces on my hand, but I got so frustrated with it, I accidentally broke it. I've accidentally broken a lot of things, but yeah, it wasn't very fun. It wasn't a good day. I needed to take a break.
So a time where I got kind of frustrated with a cosplay was not technically one I was wearing, but I made for a friend, which I think is slightly worse. And so we were just right about to go on and his entire leg armor just broke off. Thankfully, there was a really nice cosplayer in the Masters category who was like, I have a kit and we can fix this with like super glue and this like putty stuff and like a few popsicle sticks, and we got that leg armor piece on. We went on stage, it stayed, and we were so happy, and we won second in that performance, so that was awesome. But you know, at the time it was honestly terrifying.
Just making cosplays in general, it's going to be a battle of will. Let's be honest here. There's going to be a lot of pieces that are going to give you frustration when you're working with them. Oh, the most strugglesome piece that I ever made would be the shin pieces of my first suit of armor. They are by far the most frustrating I've ever done. I did not get enough reference pictures of them when I was first making my armor. I was like, oh, they're just shin pieces. It's not going to be a problem. It was a problem.
One of the best experiences I ever had in cosplay was when I was cosplaying Black Panther. We walked by, I think, a group of kids who were on a field trip or something, and they all started yelling out Black Panther, and I got some pictures with them, and it made them really happy, and it made me really happy, and I loved it.
I think some of the best moments in cosplay would definitely have to be like when I'm just like hanging out with my sister and with my friends. Like, it's such an awesome way to be able to bond. Driving to the con, it's like meme music the entire time, like we rickroll each other.
As far as planning goes, I'll admit I am not good at planning. I tend to just, it's usually if I'm in the mood to do something, I know I can do it well. So usually when I'm in the mood, I just, I go for something. I'm like, okay, I need to figure out this part of the cosplay, and I try to figure out what medium I'm gonna use, what materials, and I do a lot of things from sewing to like wood carving to painting, and kind of depends on what my mood is for the day. It's like spur of the moment type of thing.
So for an example, Cusco, which I decided on a whim to cosplay all of a sudden. I was like, I want to do this for FanX. And FanX was that Friday and it was Wednesday. So I already had, thankfully, everything I needed. So I was just able to just go. And so honestly, I think I've only spent like maybe 5 hours on it altogether. But it basically was me drafting the pattern, which was draping the fabric over me, cutting a hole in it, and then just measuring it out on myself, and then sewing it together and being like, that's what it's gonna be.
So when you work with foam, there's a couple of tools that you generally need to at least bite the bullet once, get them, and then you'll be pretty much set for every suit of armor or any project you want to work with when it comes to foam. Recommend number one thing you always want to get yourself is a heat gun. Some people commonly ask like, hey, can I just use a blow dryer? Because generally they heat up and they put hot air. You actually do need a heat gun, just because the heat gun can really just give the heat necessarily. It's not the air that matters, it's how hot it is. The next amazing tool that will help out any armor that you're working with is a Dremel. Attach a sanding drum and it will help you with rounding out your edges, as well as creating some of your bevels, as well as seams. You name it, a Dremel can usually be used for it. It's amazing for a lot of detail work, and it will make your life a lot easier when you're trying to finish up a lot of your projects. When I make visors, I just use a clear plastic, and then I attach what's called window tint. It's essentially like a film that you attach onto the plastic, and it creates a mirrored visor.
It depends on the character. I love to use stretchy fabrics because it's comfortable, and if I'm walking around, I don't want it to be uncomfortable.
Normally, when I'm looking for materials to make a weapon or something, I come out here because we have a lot of wood and PVC pipe and things like that. So right now I'm looking to make the sword Orcus that Thorin uses in The Hobbit. And for that, I think I want to use a 2x4. We just have a bunch over here. Something I learned from making Bilbo's sword is that knots in the wood are really a really big pain in the butt to work with, so I'm trying to avoid that for this one. They're just like impossible to sand and everything. But this piece right here doesn't look like it has a lot of knots in it, so I'm gonna use this. To make a weapon, honestly, anything with me takes a really long time. With a sword, depends on like how much detail I need to put into it. I'm not sure how long. I'm guessing maybe like a little under 20 hours because I have to cut the wood, I have to like get the shape of the wood, I have to sand it, and that is the longest part. And then painting's the fun part. That's not as long, but yeah, it takes a really long time.
For me, cosplay applies to a lot of my life already, which is really great. It's kind of just like a bonus that I added on to the end of my resume for acting that just says like professional cosplayer. And I've gotten a lot of people like at like Utah Shakes to be like, oh wow, like that's so cool, and like you can help out with costumes, like you can do this. And also like vice versa, I've had a lot of sword training, and so doing that for cosplay has been really fun, and it's just like a fun way to use those skills that you can like never use anywhere else. And then also I have this dream of becoming a voice actor later on in life, and that's probably my next goal. Impressions. I can sound like a generic princess. I'm a pretty princess. That's a sharp outfit you got on there, Chan. Careful, you could puncture the hull of an Empire-class Fire Nation battleship, leaving thousands to drown at sea. Because it's so sharp.
Or the skills I've gotten from cosplay could apply. Possibly if I go into a career that includes crafting in any way, I think it would help a lot. Also, if maybe I became a prop maker for movies in the future, it definitely helps me with that because I've learned how to use so many different mediums.
Problem solving is like the biggest skill that I really have taken a lot more from cosplay than I think I have anywhere else in my life. All right, so I'm a high school math teacher, so I teach math for my living. In terms of what I actually use for cosplay, I don't use anything crazy high level. Calculus and beyond, I don't really use it. The most thing that I use is mostly the mathematics you learn in middle and high school, the kind of math that everyone's like, when are we ever going to use it? Congratulations, cosplay.
One thing I'm really proud of is my Black Panther mask that I made out of cardboard and hot glue. That's basically the two things holding it together, and it just looks really nice. I spent hours on it, but I'm really proud of it.
One of the cosplays I'm the most proud of would definitely have to be Saber from Fate Stay Night. Honestly, I don't know how that cosplay even happened. It was the biggest build I've ever made to this day, and I did it like a year or two after I started cosplaying, so I was still pretty new. I was scared to death and I didn't know what I was doing. It was the first time I used anything with foam, with armor, with a dress, with sewing by myself. It was the first time of everything. It took me over 6 months to make, and I logged probably 190 hours or something like that. But by the time I got done, and I submitted everything, I was like, okay, I'm actually feeling kind of proud of this. Then when I got there, I was just absolutely horrified. But then I got on stage and I did it, and I did some cool sword tricks. I didn't know what I was doing, but did that. And then I got off, it was kind of a blur. It turns out I win first place. So I was overjoyed. I did not know that. I was like, I'm actually good at this? I can do this?
So in terms of my favorite piece that I've ever made, it would have to be the helmet for my very first suit of armor that I made. It was the operator helmet from Halo Reach. And what I tried to do is I started working a little bit with lights. I don't know a lot about LEDs, so what I tried to do is I tried to create 3 pieces in the front that would have different lights shining out. They haven't died on me yet, so I at least did a decent job on that one. I'm super proud of that helmet.
Where I see myself in the future with cosplay, I don't think I'll ever go professional with it. I mean, it's a possibility, but I really do want to get better at making cosplay, like the quality of my work. Maybe I'll possibly sell cosplay props in the future. I think that would be really fun to do. If someday I had a family, I think it would be really fun to do a family cosplay. But yeah.
To somebody who's never cosplayed before and wants to start, I would probably say, like, first off, do it. Like, just go, do it. Like, don't second guess yourself, just go have fun. And it's just like a loving community that will support you no matter what. Even if you're like, oh, this looks like garbage, they'll be like, no, you look great. And they will totally help you out in any way.
Cosplay is when you dress up as another character, like maybe a character you really admire or want to be or you think would be fun to be. And yeah, you just dress up like them or maybe even your own interpretation of them.
Cosplay to other people may just kind of look like people dressing up in weird costumes and walking around making a fool of themselves. But you know, for people doing it, I think it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But for me, cosplay is just a way to express myself.
I think one good first experience for people looking to be cosplayers is probably go to a convention. Because there's a lot of people that will be there dressed in cosplay who you can ask about it, and it's a good environment to get to know what it is and see a lot of different examples of it. Honestly, people in conventions are really nice about cosplay. Even if you have a really crappy cosplay, they don't go up to you and tease you about it. I literally saw someone at FanX wearing a rug with a hole cut through it, and there was a paper tied to the back that said cheap Wookiee cosplay. People laugh at that. It's not, we don't scoff at it. Yeah, it's a pretty accepting environment.
So if someone were to approach me, someone I'd never met before and not really talked to a ton, and they came out to me and it's like, oh, Jessica, I want to make a suit of armor. Let's do this. Where do I start? Find that character that inspires you. Find the person that you want to be the most. That really just like burning desire, like, yes, that's who I want to be. Find them and then go from there.
Some YouTube channels I'm personally involved in is Dream It, Believe It Cosplay and Schmarbles. Schmarbles is just a channel where I'm dressed up as Captain America and my friend is Tony Stark, and we do the craziest things together, but it's great.
A fun side part of cosplay is definitely the cosplay community online, and it's way fun to meet cosplayers from like around the world.
There's a FanX cosplay Facebook page where people post about their cosplays and everything, and if you were just barely trying to get into that, you could definitely go there and the people could answer your questions and you could get a lot of inspiration, I think.
If you want any help or anything, or you want to check out what I'm doing online, my Instagram is just my cosplay name, @Jessicara. And yeah, I will totally help you out. If you want to start cosplaying, just DM me.
So, cosplay. Why do I keep going? Why do I keep putting the time and the effort and the money and everything? Why is a great question. The main reason is because I enjoy it.
So sometimes my parents and even friends just wonder why I go through all this effort to do cosplay, because it takes a lot of time. Honestly, I hurt myself on a regular basis. It's probably not good. I just really like creating things and seeing how they turn out, and as I do it, I've noticed I've gotten a lot better and a lot of skills.
For me, at least, when I'm in between like shows and I'm like a little sad about that, it's a really great way to be able to go back into the characters and being able to like live 1,000 lives in one life.
There is no better feeling when you finish and you wear your full cosplay and you walk out, and it is such a great feeling to come together. And that's the main reason why I want to keep going, is because I really love it. Generally, it's kind of a smaller, it's a small world. If someone cosplays something that you love and you see and you're like, ah, yes! And I think it's a great community to be a part of.
When I'm cosplaying, I'm
When I cosplay, I am epic.
When I'm in cosplay, I feel courageous.
I am happy as heck.
I'm creative.
I get to be anyone.
I feel proud of myself. I am free.
I actually believe in myself. I have self-confidence. I have fun.
I'm powerful.
Expressive.
I'm very proud.
I'm myself.
Not as shy.
I don't feel like weird and stuff. When I cosplay, I feel like myself.
I'm free. When I cosplay, I am creative and powerful.
I'm brave.
When I cosplay,
When I'm in cosplay,
I'm
when I'm in cosplay,
When I cosplay,
I'm confident.